Sunday nights belong to us here on Scorecard on Channel 1 TV. My name is Benjamin Nketia. Big games this weekend left a lot of fans really wondering where their teams are at towards the business end of the campaign. Man United and Arsenal were in action, and it was a split of the points. When you get to the other leagues also, the title races are heating up. Between Napoli and Inter Milan, it's a very feisty title race in the Italian Serie A. I will get into that as well. As far as Spain is concerned, Vinicius Jr. was up to a few samba tricks when Real Madrid were in action. So a lot to chew on the show tonight on Scorecard. We'll have the text and WhatsApp lines on your screen, so you can text in to us from wherever you are in the country or from wherever you are on the continent. Let's do a quick turnaround. I'll come back, introduce my guest, and we'll start some talking. And yes, as usual, my two good friends are on the show with me tonight. Coach Christopher Nimley makes a return. Last week he was not feeling too good. Good to have you back.
Look, it's always a pleasure to be here. This is my show, and I always enjoy it anytime I'm here. When I miss the show, it's like something is taken away from me like that.
It's good to have you back. Emmanuel Nubo is back on the show as well. Nubo, what's going on?
I'm good. Liverpool is on top, so I'm good.
I like that. 5 games and a draw, and is a title wrapped up. Yeah. So that's what's going on. And I think it will be right if we start off on a cup note. So let's start off with Liverpool Football Club taking on Southampton over the weekend. Ghana's Kamaldeen Sulemana was in action as a bonus for those of you who care about that. He has a prophecy hanging over his head. They say he will become the most prominent Ghanaian and the most talked about by August. And so I was thinking it was going to start this weekend against Liverpool. It didn't happen, but let's enjoy the highlights. We'll come back in studio and touch on it. So very well struck penalty by Mohamed Salah. Somebody says he's scoring too many penalties. Well, penalties are not that easy to score. You can ask a lot of teams who had opportunities to score penalties and couldn't. No, but let me start off with you. Liverpool look like they are sure money for the title now. At this point, I mean, what should be the individual storylines that should captivate fans? Because it looks like Arsenal won't catch Liverpool, neither will Manchester City.
Well, I think for the fans, the fact that if they win this title, they go level with United on 20. That's one. 2019-20 was a COVID year. The fans couldn't celebrate the title win as they would like to. I'm hearing Jurgen Klopp will be in there somewhere. So I think for the fans, that's mainly it. And then for the players like Salah, every other game week, whether the performance is good or not, I think for him now, he's just picking moments and showing up where it matters. Yeah. And if you watch the entire game, Liverpool, let's say performance-wise, weren't really up there. I think for majority of this season, they've been playing in Gear 2, Gear 3. But where they are currently in the season, it's about results.
Let me just take over this for a minute, because Liverpool Football Club, with that particular victory, like I said, opened up a 15-point lead at the top of the table. Let me come back to you on that. You're making a point about the players and what this means to them.
Yeah, so if you even watch, as I was saying, the Southampton performance, it wasn't champagne football. It wasn't Liverpool at their best. But at the stage in which they've reached in this season, it's just about the results. You go in there, win the games. Nobody really cares how you play or not. It's points on the board, and the target really should be to get as many points as they can get, because Arsenal doesn't seem serious, and it doesn't look like it's not a title race anymore. It's more like a procession to the title.
Not a title race anymore, according to Nubo. It says it's a procession to the title.
I agree with him 100%. Because at the end of the day, the sort of competition that we've come to accustom ourselves with when it comes to this league is completely missing this season. Normally, you will see a Liverpool, a Man City, and Arsenal in the battle. Occasionally, a Chelsea will show up. But this season, all of us, including myself, we all thought the Man City will come strong. We all thought that Arsenal will again push them. And we all thought that once Liverpool was bringing in the new manager,
they'll be the one trying to find themselves.
What exactly that new manager will come and do.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely superbly done that Jurgen Klopp has built the team. He's handed over a team to this manager. Very good. We were not sure because he didn't even buy any player.
Nope.
At the latter part, then he brought in the Italian international. Chiesa. And we're asking ourselves, they went after Zubimendi.
Yeah.
They didn't get him. So again, Gravenberch had to be completely changed into a DM, a position, a role that I was so much skeptical about.
Yep.
And I kept saying that, look, I think that will come back to bite them. My first choice for that position at the beginning of the season was the Japanese international, because he had come in, he's done so well under Jurgen Klopp. But because the style of football was going to be different, after the first 10 games, then I actually understood why Slot preferred Gravenberch in that role than Endo, because Endo would stop the ball and easily let go of it so that he continue with that intensity. But Gravenberch, when he wins it, he tends to control it a bit, wait for people to take a bit more breathe in and out, and then let's start at a certain level. So it had to do with the coaching. But like we've all come to see, this Liverpool team, by far, they've been the best team in the land, in the league. They've lost only one game all season.
Yep.
One game all season. And that, in my view, is absolutely brilliant. Against Southampton, when you watch them play, they have the Tuesday's Champions League game at the back of the man.
PSG had the luxury of resting almost their entire 11.
They also have a 13-point lead. Prior to this weekend game, they had a 13-point lead, Liverpool 13-point lead. So the two teams still believe that Tuesday they are going to go for it. Because don't forget, there's nothing like away goals a game.
Yeah.
So although PSG are trailing in the tie, they will come to Anfield believing that they can win it.
True.
So with that in mind, Slot tweaked the team a bit. He gave rest to Mohamed Salah, of course. That is why some of us are saying that this Liverpool team will struggle if they don't renew Salah's contract. People are saying he's scoring too many. Go and ask Roberto Baggio, Leo Messi, and co. They blasted penalty over the bar when it matters most. It is not an easy thing to do. So if you are, how many goals has he scored now?
I think he should be on 25 or
25 goals in the league.
I'll just verify that.
He's been doing this for the past 5 to 6 seasons. 20 plus goals every season. What is the guarantee that if this man leaves, whoever you are going to spend that 40, 50, 60, 70 million pound on?
Absolutely no guarantee. And let me give you an example of when Liverpool sold Luis Suarez to Barcelona. Big money. And then they gave the money to Kilkenny. He brought in Balotelli. He went to buy Ricky Lambert.
Carroll.
All kinds of funny players. Just trying to make up the goals that Suarez was
scoring at the time. And look, for a winger, is it what most people don't understand is that Mohamed Salah is not a striker.
I think that is lost on a lot of people. In a lot of people's minds, he's a forward now.
He's he's a forward. But per his role, so he's even classified as a midfielder.
27 goals and 17 assists.
Absolute insane.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
I think 44 goal contribution.
That is insane. And nobody in the world, as we speak,
that's
is wrapping up
17 assists.
That is insane.
That's even more impressive for me than the goals.
He's
almost doing equal figures in goals and assists.
If he was scoring 10, 12 goals as a winger and giving me 15 assists, every coach would take him.
That's world class.
That's world class for a winger. So I don't know what is wrong, what is happening.
I think he's the best player in the world now.
Nobody argues that. Nobody debates that. So for me, Liverpool win the league. They win the league very comfortably.
And they should give him his money.
And they will, if they don't, let him go. I'm hearing Barcelona is in and around the young man.
He will not lack suitors.
I think he's too good to go to Saudi now.
Yes.
That's base. He can play any top
Barca will afford to give him 2 years contract. Option to extend by another year. If you look at what Rafinha is doing, Lewandowski is doing, if you go and put Mohamed Salah there,
huge upgrade.
Don't forget that the Spanish league, the intensity is not like this league.
No,
so he
can even play extra years in the Spanish league.
He can play 3, 4 more years.
Liverpool looking impressive. Mohamed Salah just racking up the numbers at this point in the season. Let's get to our second game, and that was between Brentford and Aston Villa. It's a scramble for Europe as far as the teams in that belt of the table are concerned. Let's get the highlights of that game. I want to tell Oli Watkins that I am capable of finishing that chance better than he did.
But to be honest with you, I didn't see the need for that. You only do that when you see the goalkeeper come down. And the goalkeeper was standing up. Rather, his 2 legs were wide open. So hit it through.
Just marks of a player who didn't know what he wanted to do.
Exactly. Indecision.
I think even the movement should have moved a bit.
I'm not sure what he was up to. I don't know. His finishing has been very suspect this season. But just snap thoughts on that game. Villa winning, hard-fought away win. 1-0 from Brentford. That's always going to be a difficult game, but they managed to come out. They are chasing Champions League football. They want to go back again after this season.
I think Brentford themselves, over the past 4 or 5 games, haven't been in the best form.
Yep.
And Aston Villa, especially after European games, also haven't performed well in the Premier League. So they needed to get it right this time round. And it was Brighton almost nicked in the end. I think they hit the post once or twice. But then it's just the results. And for them, they have a cushion because I think they won 3-1 to Club Brugge. So there isn't much pressure on them, but they need to start racking up points in the league. The inconsistencies, performing well in Europe and not performing so well in the league, they need to settle in and then start putting up some numbers. But I'm happy for players like Rashford. I think he's had about 3 or so assists in the 4 games he's been there. Asensio has also been a very good signing. So things seems to be working well for them. As to how far they can go in the Champions League, I don't think they win it. So their best bet is to get fifth place in
go
the
as
league.
far as possible, make some Champions League
And that looks
money.
like it's possible because I think between 4th and 10th or so, it's about 5 or 4 points in between there. So if you beat those who are in and around you, you have a greater chance of getting into top 5.
Coach, just snap thoughts on Villa there.
For me, it is the work the manager has done. Unai Emery has gotten everybody in that Aston Villa dressing room, through to the owners, the board. They've all now believed that Aston Villa is a big team.
You should have seen their bench this weekend.
Exactly. And whatever they do epitomizes the fact that that is where they see themselves now. The football, yes, at times have been very, very good. On their day, they can take up any team.
True.
We saw them go toe-to-toe with Liverpool some two weeks ago, and that was an absolute cracker. Against teams like Brentford, away. Brentford, we all know, are a very difficult team to play at home. So once you get that win, it really doesn't matter. But on the day, I think they played very, very well. It was at times very scrappy, but they knew what they had to do, and they had to keep themselves intact to make sure that once they took the lead, they would make sure they protected till the end. They were lucky at times because Brentford struck the woodwork, but like I've always said, the pole doesn't move. If you hit it and it goes in, it goes in. If it doesn't go in, it means you didn't hit it well. So it's a deserving win. They can only begin to dream again because if you look at the run they've had, this is their very first attempt at Champions League football since the name became Champions League. And they are in what? The round of 16. Most likely they will make the quarterfinals.
I think they do.
If you look at the money that is going to bring in to the team, if they can get another Champions League football immediately after such a run, then they will have every right to believe that indeed they've come to be among the elite. And for me, Unai Emery is the perfect manager. Just a quick one on Marcus Rashford. He's done relatively well. For someone like me who supports Manchester United, I don't want him back at United. So I pray very, very hard he does well at the end of the season.
So you can get good value for him.
Because his true character is hidden. His true self is hidden.
I can't believe this.
I'm telling you, we are here.
A man can't change. A man can't turn over a new leaf.
You see, normally in football, when the player is 28, he's already made. It's extremely difficult to get him to begin to think differently and do things differently. So like I'm saying, his true character is hidden. Now, if you look at his statistics, he's running more, he's tracking back more. These were things that he was never doing. He's not done in the past 3-4 seasons at United. I want him to track back more. I want him to run more. I want him to add to the defensive part of whatever Villa. So that Unai Emery will, okay, he's the man for the future. You bring the 45 million pounds, then he will show you his true self. But then we would have collected our money and helped Amorim to build our team. It's as simple as that.
Could it not be that he's in a better environment?
That's what I'm saying. So everything that goes into making him perform, he should perform. We collect our money. We use the money we want. You understand?
I can't believe this.
So I pray that look, he settles down. He's at home. I want to see him smile. He hasn't scored yet. The other day I was looking at a bit of statistics that said he hasn't scored. I think he's given 2 or 3 assists since he's been there. Put the ball in the back of the net, Marcus Rashford. Let the people at Villa bring the money.
Your motives are completely diabolical. Anyway, let's go to our first analytical game for the week, and it was between Nottingham Forest and Manchester City. It was at the City ground. Forest are making sure that they will be back in the Champions League, or they will make Champions League come next season. And remember that they are historically one of the best Champions League performing teams in England, just in case you forgot. They have 2 Champions League titles, actually. And so they are hoping to get back into the Champions League. They are now 4 points clear of Manchester City, and they are in 3rd spot. Let's get the highlights of the game. Welcome back. Let's take it to the tactical board. Now, Coach, what do you have for us?
You see, I don't know, but maybe the people at Man City, they've come to accept that for now, this is what they are or who they are. I believe sincerely that a Man City of last season, Man City of 2 seasons ago, would never have considered this goal. Yeah. From the very beginning of the move, the Man City team that Pep Guardiola has built over the years would not accept this goal. Now, if you roll this, I'll allow it to go. Then when it comes back, then I'll begin to talk my tactics. Then you see exactly what is being done there. So that is the goal. Beautiful. Now, so many things didn't go well. Let me start it all over again. From here, if you pause this here, look at the shape of the Man City players. 1, 2, 3, 4. What shape is that? That is shapeless. That is no shape. That is no shape whatsoever.
So you have 3 players literally bunched up in the middle together.
Look at that. And for me, what I don't get was the fact that they allow Gibbs White. Yes, they allow Gibbs White to receive the ball from his defenders.
No pressure. Turn around. Yep.
Look, he could have done this. He wouldn't have felt any man. No, this is not Pep Guardiola.
Oh my goodness.
This is not Pep's team. This is De Bruyne. This is Bernardo Silva.
Nico Gonzalez.
All of them very lethargic. Nobody fancy the need to go and press the ball. Unacceptable. So once the pass is made, look at the distance. And then let's again highlight the immediate defender, which is Guardiola. This is Guardiola. Just a second. This is Guardiola. Good. Now look at the gap between Guardiola and Hudson-Odoi. That is more than 15 yards. Yeah. And that is unacceptable. I understand where the ball came from. Naturally, the Man City defenders would have done it. So once the ball is hit diagonally, there is a horizontal shift. Once you shift horizontally, you should go pop, 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 and go and close the gap. But if you watch Guardiola, look at the way he's virtually jogging. He's virtually jogging, and you don't jog.
He's behaving like Tosin.
Exactly. No, you don't jog there because already you are struggling to keep the shape of the defense. Now, he did something here that is completely unacceptable.
Vardio?
Yes, he jogged, he got to the ball. Now everybody watch. Technically, look at him. Once he backtracked, the best foot to use to block the ball
is his natural
left
foot.
He should have gone left. Rather, he was doing
reversing out of the way with his right.
You don't do this. How do you block a ball like that as a defender? So once he did that, he got to Hudson-Odoi, but the blocking was very, very wrong. And then some other point that needs to be highlighted is the positioning of Aston. This is a Brazilian international goalkeeper. Look at him there. Look at where he is. What I don't get is like he was so indecisive. Am I supposed to block the first post?
Yep.
Or I'm supposed to think for Hudson-Odoi?
Yeah.
Naturally, once the ball is there, look at the gap between. If you were to measure that,
that's more than a yard.
That is more than. It's about
2-3 yards. 2 yards.
5-6 yards.
He can squeeze it in.
He can easily squeeze it in. So Hudson-Odoi knew. You see, when the player at this level is doing the sort of things he's doing,
he's waiting.
He's watching.
Yeah.
He's already seen the position of the goalkeeper. He's already seen that. So now Aston might have thought that, look, let me angle and see whether he will go across.
Yeah.
Now if he goes across, then
Chris Wood was arriving. So
Chris Wood was arriving. But he should have known better as an international goalkeeper that if you look at the man, they knew Man City had the numbers. So Chris Wood, Diaz, the Portuguese international, had seen him and they were making sure that he was inside. So Hudson-Odoi watched, no, that would be a wrong option. Fortunately for Odoi, he saw that Aston has just vacated the position. And then he just went for it. Look at that. Straight at where he was.
He didn't even shoot with power. He finessed the ball into the corner.
It got to the stage where Ederson was very much afraid that if he had thrown himself at that, he would have
hurt himself.
And would have hurt him. So let me just do something and see whether I get it. But
got in no man's land, really.
Got in no man's land. It's a very poor goal to concede. I think the ball that should have gone past him was the one he saved in the highlight. That was a very good, strong left hand in the midst of the defense. He didn't see that, but he was able to pass. This one was too
easy.
Too easy. It's a kindergarten way of defending. The mistake from the guys in the middle, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Gonzalez, none of them pressing, Gibbs White, the diagonal went, Guardiola jogging, not fancying the need to close down Hudson-Odoi. He got there. His position was wrong. Instead of going with his left foot, he went with his right foot.
A lot of things happening in that sequence.
Too many things happening. Too many errors. And at this level, if you do that, it's proper, you get punished.
Well, let me take Nubo's take on Forest. Like I said, this win, if City had won this game, they would go top. They would go third, and they would have toppled Forest from their spot. Forest won this game, so now it's a 4-point gap between themselves and Manchester City. Do you think that they can hold on to this position and make the Champions League? Now, I say this with a statistic. If you look at the reverse fixtures left, they have 11 games left. In the reverse from the first round, they won 9 of those games, drew 1, and lost just 1.
Yeah, and the things, I think they've finished playing with the big teams because they've played, they're done with
Liverpool,
they're down with City. I think they're down with Arsenal. So then it means that most of the matches they'll be playing are teams who are in and around.
I did down with Chelsea because Chelsea themselves are competing
I will need to check that for you.
I think Chelsea comes here.
Yeah, Chelsea. If they are not down with Chelsea, then Chelsea goes to them.
I think Chelsea comes here. And based on the performances we saw against Liverpool, the performance we saw against Arsenal, and the performance we've seen against City, I think they fancy themselves to beat any team, especially at home. Away might be where there might be a few problems. You look at the Newcastle game, for instance, they go ahead and then they lose the game, but I think there's no pressure on them now. They are also doing very well in the FA Cup. So for them, they're just chasing history and then chasing records. And for me, I think they'll be able to make it. But another thing to point out, you look at Manchester City with what Coach pointed out, 4 players in the midfield and how successful they are to conceding in transition. You'd think they'll go for the tactical foul. None of them do that. Then the ball goes in
fact,
there.
There's been so many instances where they just needed to perform the tactical foul to quell the attack, and they've not been able to do it. And coach always highlights that that's like one of Rodri's specialties. Like he will always see the case where no amount of closing down will stop the sequence. You just need to foul the player.
He reads the situation, knows the danger, and then he acts. Nobody in this City team is doing that. Bernardo Silva, if you look at his numbers, he's running less this season. So I think they've just given
Bernardo
up
Silva
on
looks
this
like
season.
he's on holiday out on that pitch. I don't know. Let me just read out to you the Forest fixtures. So their next game is against Ipswich Town.
They win that.
Then they have Man United to play at the City ground. They have Aston Villa. They have Everton, Spurs, Brentford, Palace, Leicester, West Ham, and Chelsea to finish the season. So not easy games per se.
Not easy, but tactically, if you look at the way Nuno has approached these games, he's been so smart in his dealings. He understands when the opposition is in front of him is capable of beating. This Forest side, for as long as it stays at 0-0, they are very happy.
Defensively, they are very solid.
They are one of the best defending team in the league. And they will make life even more uncomfortable for you if they go and take the lead. So yesterday we all saw, the moment they took that, the moment they scored,
that was it.
They had proper defensive line cover, men behind the ball, and they were ready to fight for every single ball. That is the message he's gotten across to them. Every player in that team, including all of us here, did not believe that they'll find themselves where they are.
In fact, the commentator said something when we did a game on radio. He said, you can look at the Forest team and tell that everybody is in great form. Like, you cannot point to one player who's playing badly.
That is...
Everybody is playing well.
Because, you see, when you... are we the team here?
I think last season...
Go for this. That is the mentality. So, Nuno is not stressing himself too much in trying to work on their psyche. Every player
is motivated
because they least expect that they'll find themselves where they are.
I think one of the things that also works for them that we don't talk about is the likes or the presence of guys like Hudson-Odoi and Elanga. They feel slighted by being let
Chelsea,
go by big teams.
by Manchester
and so they
United.
feel like this is a chance to prove a point.
It may
That,
be
you
too.
know what, we still belong on the big stage, or the big teams might have let us go.
Even
but
Chris Wood.
we are-
Because
Exactly.
When the Newcastle money came, he was one of the first players
Everybody let
bought,
go.
They shipped
and
out.
then they
But
shipped him
maybe
out.
to this is their level.
No,
If you put them into a Chelsea team,
there's
the
more pressure.
Is it, if
There's
they
more
lose
pressure, true.
games,
Nobody gives
nobody
you a lot
makes
of
any
stress
fuss
over
about
here.
that.
True.
But if you are playing at United, you need to perform
Yeah.
every week.
Yep.
Chelsea, every
One bad
week,
performance and the fans
they
are
are coming
back.
at you. So maybe that's it.
Like I said, in the reverse fixtures, they won 9, drew 1, and lost just 1. So for the teams that will play Nottingham Forest, you guys are in trouble. I don't know how you're going to manage it, but let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll get into more analysis. Stay with us here on Scorecard. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Channel 1 TV. Let's move on with more highlights. Let's get to Chelsea Football Club. This time they were hoping that Manchester City would slip up so they could get back into the top 4, and slip up Manchester City did. Let's get the highlights. So it was Enzo Maresca taking on his former club. Always going to be a difficult game when you look at it that way. Chelsea, with that win, are back in the top 4. Coach, let me start off with you on that one. Kukurea scoring the only goal of the game. I see you're not happy about how that goal was conceded.
Yeah. I think the goalkeeper could have done better, because if you look at it tactically, from where the ball was struck from, the fact that he had his leg wide open and he just dived. You don't do that. You close your leg, you move 1, 2, then you dive and make the save. He didn't do that. But if you want to actually look at the game, by far, Chelsea were the better team. But again, the lack of goals in this Chelsea team is beginning to worry. Since Nicola Jackson got injured, they've struggled for goals. Palmer is not playing the way he used to play.
Nope.
I think he missed the penalty today.
There you go. So something is wrong with the team. Something is actually wrong with the team. Maybe everybody now is now beginning to see the importance of Nicola Jackson. We spoke about his work rate.
Yep.
We spoke about his movement. We spoke about his ability to give them options with or without the ball. He leads the line. He what triggers the press, and the rest are able to follow. If you put in Kuku there, a player who's had 2 ACL, clearly he's been slowed down by those very serious career-threatening injuries. So the team will have to learn how to play differently. My only worry is the fact that they played against a Leicester team that we all know don't have proper teeth to bite. This Chelsea defense has always been porous. So against the quality opposition, they ship in goals. So for them to win games, they have to score 2, 3 goals for them to win. In that push towards the top 4, there are some very, very tricky games ahead of Chelsea. Games that they will have to make sure that a goal would just be more than enough to rescue. If you want to make Champions League, that is what you should be doing.
And they play Arsenal next.
They are going to play Arsenal next. They
have Liverpool.
They have Liverpool to play. They have Man United to play. There are so many difficult games ahead of them. And I can only see them going in that game and getting something
But
from
let me
those
just
games.
read out to you. This is not a good run of games
Yeah,
to finish
exactly.
the season. So, like Nubo said, they have Arsenal next, away. They have Spurs after that at the Bridge. They have Brentford away.
Difficult game.
Ipswich. And then they have Fulham away. They have Everton. They have Liverpool, Newcastle, and United, and Nottingham Forest to finish the season.
So a lot more teams in the
That
top
looks
10.
like the most difficult run to the end of the campaign.
So the best you can do,
Liverpool, Newcastle, United, and Forest to finish. That's crazy.
the best, you see, Maresca will have to look at the team and say, look, if you look at the fixtures, the best he can do to give them decent chance of getting Champions League football, we need to make ourselves very difficult to beat.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know when Nicolas Jackson will be back. I pray he gets back very soon. Because if he make them very difficult to beat, then they can now see themselves going out there to make it. Because against Arsenal, Forest, Fulham, Man United, Liverpool, these are difficult games. And you want to go there having a solid defensive foundation that you can build upon. But against the likes of Leicester, because look, they were very open yesterday against a quality opposition.
They get punished.
They'll get beat. But Leicester, we all know where they are. Morale is down.
Yeah.
Players are low in confidence. And everything is just not working right at Leicester City. So it's a matter of the fact that Chelsea knew they had to win. They've won. They are back, and they knew the result. They knew that Man City had been beaten, so they needed to do something to get back into the top four. Cucurella, you saw the way he celebrated his goal?
No, but let me throw you the same question. Do you think that Chelsea are capable of navigating these fixtures to make it to the Champions League based on the level of competition behind them as well?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Especially in 2025, how inconsistent they've been. The way they ship in goals, the ease with which teams run at their defense. Their goalkeeper not convincing.
Yep.
I think I saw Fofana. Fofana played this game. I think he spent more time injured than he has played.
Fofana.
So the centre-back pairing, they keep changing it. Tomorrow is Adebayo, tomorrow is this. Now Maresca. It looks like Cole Palmer has been figured out by a lot of teams because they know nothing offensively happens without him. So teams are mapping out strategies to him. And I think it's getting to him. And I remember, was it 3 weeks ago, in that Brighton game they lost.
Yeah.
You could see the frustration on him because nobody's making any run. Like, everything just doesn't seem to work. And if you look at that run of games they have to go through to the end of the season, it's going to be very, very difficult. It's going to be, because they play a lot more teams in and around them in the top 10 than those outside. So for me,
and a lot of the bigger games are away
and I
from
think,
home.
you see, they are a better team when they play on as a transitional team.
Yeah.
because of the pace they
Because
have.
of the pace they've got. But rather, Maresca, I think he's a factor to what to the way they are playing now. Rather, he wants them to control games. Once you want them to control games, then they should be able to press the ball properly when they lose it. Because as you get on the ball and play, when you are dispossessed, your defensive shape is always what? In tatters. So the best way to give your defensive shape any form of chance of getting back in shape is to go and press the ball. The tactical fouls that we speak about, there's nobody in this Chelsea team who is capable of doing that. Maybe the one who would have done that is Caicedo, but he is very deep.
Very deep. So he's not even that
He's
close
not
to
even
the
that
action.
close to the ball most of the time to cause the tactical foul. So I think in these very difficult games that you've mentioned, the best they can do is to play as a transitional team. Let's sit back and play. Because if you've got Neto, I think genuinely he's there. Maybe Jackson will be back. As for Jadon Sancho, and I don't see how pacey he is.
Madueke.
But I think he's injured.
He's injured.
Madueke is injured. So.
Yeah, he's been out for a bit. The Chelsea Football Club, really, really tough run to the top four. If they want to make it to the top four, they probably have to win at least 5 or 6 of their remaining games to give themselves a really good chance. Let's see if they are capable of that. Let's get to our second tactical game for the day, and that was our big game of the weekend between Manchester United and Arsenal Football Club. It ended 1-1. In the end, United fans felt really hard done by. Felt like they should have won that game, but let's see how it broke down. And David Raya will be very happy with his performance on the day. Coach, let's get the breakdown.
I think, but for him, Arsenal would have lost.
They would have.
But for him too, I fought him for this goal. Now, this is why I fought him for the goal.
Okay.
Is it naturally, if you look at where the ball is not in the arc. If the ball is directly through the middle, that is where, as a goalkeeper, you don't know where the taker of the free kick will go. So you give your wall one side, and then you take one side.
Okay.
And you tell yourself, look, if he's good enough, let him go
Over the wall.
bend over and in. And you expect your wall to jump. And of late, or those days, players were jumping, and so you have one player behind the wall, lie behind the wall to
still find that thing
compel
extremely
him to go over and in.
Yeah.
So he didn't do that. Look at his positioning. I don't understand why he left this huge
It's almost,
space.
23, 22 yards away?
That is too huge a gap. And you watch him. He knew the space was too big. So just before Bruno Fernandes struck the ball, he did 1-2. He moved 2 because I was telling Ketia earlier on that his positioning was wrong. He should have stayed in the middle.
Central.
A bit central, because look at where the ball is. The ball is actually away at an angle.
Yeah.
So if Bruno were to come for this part, he would have given the ball a longer
Trajectory. Yeah.
and that would have slowed the pace down so he can come across and make the save. But watch him. We may not see him move on this move. So you see him, I think the second...
You see it. You notice
You see
it.
it, but-
he moves once, and then he moves again before the free kick goes.
You see
One,
it.
two.
1, 2, now watch.
Tries to shuffle his feet.
Now,
Just,
Yeah. I
this
think
is
it was
where
better.
it is clearly seen. Watch him here. He moves The first 2 steps, Bruno didn't touch. Another one too before diving.
Yeah.
So you could clearly see that he knew the gap was too big.
Yeah.
And for me, at this level, he's a top goalkeeper. One would have thought that if the ball was in the arc, like I said earlier on, directly at goal, then you don't know where the taker will go. So you guys take one side, I take one side. If he's good enough, let him bend it over and in. If he comes to my end, I'll make the save. Bend over in and let's see how. And normally it is a bit more difficult for players to do that when the ball is down. So yes, he actually saved them, but I fought him for this goal. Now, if you go to the goal that Man United conceded, look, I don't know, but I don't remember the last time I saw a fullback so ambidextrous like Timber.
Yeah.
He's good.
He's
Left
really,
back,
really
right
good.
back, centre back.
He's so
he can dribble.
He's so multifunctional.
Yeah.
And if you play this, watch him. He goes at this stage. The United defenders knew it was Timber, so maybe Mazwari, come on, I stand up against the skillful or the best technically gifted player. This is my direct opposite fullback. Has he got the footworks to dance beyond me? Look at what he did. He pulled him out and then he drew and Declan Rice. Absolutely brilliant. You don't fault Onana for this.
No.
He hardly saw the ball. And for me, what I don't like was the fact that the United defenders didn't dive to block the ball. They were standing where they were doing, and they were doing this, and they were doing. You don't do that. I don't know of late. Look, I've always highlighted the John Terrys, the Ricardo Cavallo, the
Put your body on the line.
Those top Italian defenders. They would dive and put their body on the line. But look at Lindelof. Look at Lindelof. What is that? Actually, look at Lindelof. Look at where the ball. Your hands. The ball is not even coming to you.
Yeah.
Look, the ball is not even coming to you. What is that? Just watch this. You let me pull this back a bit, and just watch them. Just watch. Dive towards 8. All of them stood there.
1, 2, 3. There's 6 players in there.
If you had 2 of them, look at it. Dive towards the ball.
Yeah. But could you blame Casemiro a bit? Because just as Timber was approaching, he actually sees Declan Rice, but he doesn't even make any attempt to
block
go
him off.
closer
That's
to
what
him.
I'm saying. You see, that's the point I'm making. That you
Because
see,
if
this
you
is
watch, he actually
Casemiro.
watches
Watch.
Declan Rice arriving.
This is Casemiro. That's him.
Yeah.
That's him. Okay. For a player of that experience, he clearly sees. Look. No danger whatsoever here.
Yeah, that's how it's 4
United are in total control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They are all active. None of them at this stage were passive in the build-up to that Arsenal goal. So if you roll it out and it goes, look at Casemiro again.
He actually
You see,
watches.
he's viewing.
He's
He
scanning.
sees him.
Yeah.
So that's the point I was making.
He's properly positioned.
And he's the first one who did that. What is that?
Because if you even watch his scan, that's 2 players
Yes,
on
he scans
Merino.
and he sees
there's
the danger.
The danger is coming actually from outside the box.
Exactly, not from. So look at it. If you watch him again, now go for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go for it.
At least
Just
throwing
throw
himself.
Just throw yourself on it.
Was
Just
supposed
throw
to be
yourself.
throwing
You
himself
see,
at that ball.
maybe keep your hand and then dive towards the ball. The person that actually shocks me was Lindelof. You look. You should be throwing
Finish.
yourself.
He touched his knees. and
Look at Lindelof. No, you don't defend like that. These are the changes that Amorim will have to try and change. But look, it's a game Man United should have won. I don't know whether it is unfortunately or fortunately. In games where you don't expect them to play better, that is when they've played better. And I listened to Amorim, he said something. He said they employ the medium-low press. He doesn't want his team to play like that. Even in the big games, he wants them to dominate the object. On the transition, defensively, to and fro, he wants his team to dominate every area. But per what he has to work with, tactically, this is the alteration he needed to do to the team. Give them a low block and then let's play on the counter. But Arsenal themselves, just a quick point on them. Arteta, I think he needs to eat humble pie. If I have my way, I'll meet him and buy him a pie and give him a pie to eat.
He ran away from I think one of the interviews.
Yeah, you see, he's been so stubborn. Yeah. He spent close to £600 million. This is his team. And you lose just one player At least Saka left, got injured. They felt his absence, but he did. But the moment that player who he trusted to be the number 9, Kai Havertz, and then Gabriel Jesus, peripherally was being used as a number 9. Once those two guys got injured, Arsenal has looked very, very flat.
Yeah.
Very flat. And then somebody said, but they beat PSV. That is not their level. You don't judge Arsenal by beating PSV of Holland 7-1 in the Champions League. This is what it's made of. Do you think they'll go past PSV? Who waits? Atletico, Real Madrid. With this, Moreno, makeshift number 9 to go in. No, you stand no chance whatsoever. And this is solely at the footstep of Mikel Arteta. If I'm the board of Arsenal, if I'm the one dishing out the cash for this man to build this team, I will never forgive him for just giving me one striker, spending 600 million pounds. Some of the defensive players he's gone out there to buy were simply not necessary.
It's a luxury, if you ask me.
Simply not necessary, because now at left back there is Zinchenko.
There's Calafiori.
Has become obsolete.
There's Tomiyasu.
There's Tomiyasu.
There's
Look
the
at the
Scottish guy too.
the boy that they loan out.
Yeah.
And then look at the young chap. So in
Louis Kelly,
in one position, did
Even
you not
Timber
see?
can play left back.
Even Timber can play left back. 6. Take that money. The money spent on the Italian. I don't think the Italian boy was needed. Take that money. Add a little bit. Go to Napoli. Look, they would have been winning the league if they have an Osimhen.
Yeah.
Osimhen
I
would
think
have
Galatasaray
buried.
got him on loan even.
Yeah, they got him alone.
Yeah, so
and what even annoyed me was the fact that during the January transfer window, Kolomwani, Juve paid
1
less
million.
than £2 million
1
for
million
him.
for him.
They didn't go for
He
it.
was
Arsenal.
PSG were literally sacking Kolomani.
They're sacking him. Just go to them and say, look, Kolomani, let's go. They pay 1, you give them 2, and then bring him. I think Kolomani would have done a massive change, massive transformation to this Arsenal setup. And like I said, Arteta is solely to be blamed for this.
Let me take Nubo's thoughts before we take our second break on the United goal scoring problem. So I've seen a lot of United fans today complaining about Rasmus Højlund. He missed a really bad chance. Like, he scores that United win this game, but he completely scuffed it. Like, completely failed to make anything useful out of it. What do you make of that scoring problem for United and Højlund specifically?
I think Højlund, he's in a similar situation with Darwin Núñez, where it was a gamble and it doesn't seem to have paid off. And for teams like United, you don't have the luxury of time for us to wait till you come good. No. So for him, especially with how the team is playing now, there's a lot of pressure on him. And for me, I think that is where the main problem is. Is he an elite striker? I don't think so. I think he's good. Yeah, he makes good movements, but he doesn't have cutting edge finishing. And that's what sets apart good strikers from elite strikers. So for me, that's going to keep happening for long. I don't think United should rely on him for goals. Because even where he was coming from, I don't think he scored 20 goals that season.
No, he was not even the starting striker.
Exactly. So you don't expect him to guarantee you a 15 or 20 goals. But in general, I think this team and how it's been structured, the materials and how the coach wants them to play doesn't match. So you need to give Amorim some time. He needs maybe 2 more transfer windows to set the team up properly. Then now you can judge how efficient they'll be going forward or not. But for now, I think he's just making do with what he has.
I think just a quick one on the striking problem. You see, we shouldn't forget that Rasmus Højlund is still very young. I think he's 21 years.
Yeah.
Now, if a team like United, if this team was being properly run, you don't put the goal-scoring burden on the 21-year-old.
Yep.
I would have thought that he was bought to be the man for the future. So you bring him an experienced striker for him to learn off, to understudy. And then by the time
I think the problem is how much they spent on him. Everybody expects you to begin performing.
Exactly, but at the time, that is one department that you hardly get enough strikers in the world. He gave the promise. Was he worth 75 million pounds? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think about 40, 42 would have been
like how much they paid for Zexi.
Exactly, something around that. But the fact is that if you are going to spend a 75, 72, 75 on him at 21-year-old, you need to bring him an experienced striker. That is why I always felt that if Ineos has got money, which they don't have, Osimhen is there 65, 70 million.
Yep.
Osimhen is 25, 26 years.
Yeah.
You bring him into this United or into this Arsenal team. You put the ball in the air, you give him what? 20 crosses, he gives you a minimum of 10 goals in the air alone.
True.
He brings the best out of. He's a bullet. He's like a Didier Drogba.
He can target man play.
He can
he
hold it
has
up.
the
He
legs
can
to
block it.
run,
He can run and all that.
Can shoot from distance. He can do all kinds of things.
It's about the money. Right now, Rasmus Haaland, look, he can feel the pressure. And the weight
He is drowning under the pressure.
The weight
And
of
the
Man
more he
United.
doesn't score, the greater the pressure is.
Exactly. The weight on him is unbearing. So what the team really needs to do is to
Bring
relieve
somebody
him,
to relieve
bring
him of the
in
pressure.
an experienced striker and let the ball go to. We got 21 years. Striker, United striker. He's not a finished product yet. Look at Mbappe. He's 25, 26 now.
24, 20.
That's it.
Rasmus Højlund needs a more experienced head to relieve his pressure. Let's take our second break here on the show. When we come back, we'll get into the other leagues around the world. Very heated battle in the Italian Serie A. Also, a pretty good championship battle in the Spanish La Liga. Stay with us here on Scorecard. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Channel 1 TV. Let me read some of your messages that have been coming through before we take our next batch of highlights. So this one here says, nothing lasts forever. There's time for everything. Better luck next time, Manchester City. Great and fantastic analysis on the show. Please tell Coach that I'll need him one day in Sefi Bekwai. Say Aristo. That one. This one says, good evening, Scorecard. You are doing a wonderful job with regards to the sports discussion. As a Ghana, I know the league is over for now. I do enjoy the way Coach is enlightening us with the analysis. From Monsieur Daniel, the French professor without a first degree from Koforidua Old Estate. Very elaborate description. This one here says, Arsenal will still be where they are, meaning they will keep going trophyless unless they go for a first-class coach or manager to change the mentality of the players. The players are weak-minded and the coach also does not learn. So the team will go trophyless. When a team decides to play defensively against Arsenal, possibility of Arsenal losing is higher. Sack Arteta because he's a stubborn coach. I see. This one here is from Kwame from Joel. He says that, Ben, I hope the season will end soon. Watching Man United this weekend, I have so many questions for Garnacho. Kwame from Joelu with that one. This one says, good evening, guys. Gabriel from Dansoman. I wanted to ask Coach if Harry Kane can win the league with Bayern. We'll be getting there in a bit. This one's from Moshosho from Nungwa. Says, congrats to Kotoko and Chelsea for winning their respective games. Cole Palmer will be back stronger. Kinsford from Bonyere says that, why is Arteta still at post? He needs to be sacked and then we can go for Jurgen Klopp. Klopp can win Arsenal trophies, but with Arteta, Arsenal will not win any trophies. This one's from Prince from Akemodan. He says, come to think of it, what if Pep's wife was the genius? Pep is literally losing it. This is his worst season in his entire coaching career. Hopefully, things get better next season. Abraham Jedu from Broadcasting Accra says, good evening to you all. Another sad weekend as my team, United, drew 1-1 with Arsenal in the PL. But happy in the Ghana Premier League as Hearts of Oak won 2-0 against Young Apostles. Ado Obobi Esquire says, scoring a penalty is no easy feat. Even the great Messi failed to convert one against Chelsea in 2012 in the Champions League semis. Similarly, Ian Robin missed the penalty against Chelsea in the Champions League final. So let's not be too hard on Salah. After all, even the best players miss penalties, I agree. Let's get to the next batch of highlights. So like I said, the Spanish La Liga race is heating up between Barca, Real Madrid, and Atletico. And Atletico stumbled this weekend against Getafe. Let's get the highlights. So Atletico Madrid losing in painful circumstances. They're up by 1-0 in the 87th minute. They found a way to lose the game.
Very unlike them. Yeah. Very, very unlike them. To be honest with you, maybe they are still thinking about the Real Madrid second leg.
They are.
Champions.
Yeah.
Not maybe,
Because
they are.
you could clearly see in the selection on the day, even in the approach, it's like the players didn't want to exert themselves. Diego Simeone himself wasn't his usual animated self, wanted to get everybody to calm down. But nevertheless, they still have the Spanish La Liga to compete for. And every game Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico plays from now on in the league It's a must-win game.
It's 57, 57, 56.
There you
Barca, Real Madrid, Atletico. And Atletico's next game, I think, is against Barca.
Barca has
And
a
now
game
Barca
in
has a
hand.
game in hand. Because
yeah.
they didn't play this weekend.
Exactly. So every game that these three teams play, more like a cup final. So I really didn't understand because Real Madrid are in a similar situation. It isn't that the team that you be playing on in the Champions League has a different situation to yours.
Yeah, you're playing at home too. So.
You're all doing the same thing. So why risk it? Why rest and not go for it? So maybe he really fancy that Champions League game. But on the face of the for
They
them
denied
to
him
have
2 Champions League finals.
exactly for them to have lost the game, even with 10 men, with 3 minutes to go, is so much unlike them. And I was very, very disappointed, to be honest.
Let's take the action to Real Madrid versus Rayo Vallecano. That's also a game that happened. Real Madrid also need to keep winning to make sure that they are in pole position to win the La Liga title. Any more slip-ups, and that just might be your title. So let's get the highlights of that game. So a narrow win for Real Madrid, all 3 points though. Nubo, just thoughts on that game. Vinicius, Mbappe, both on the score sheet.
I think personally, I'm happy for Mbappe. When he got through Madrid, the season started. It looked like it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work.
True.
But now they found synergy. They've learned how to play off each other, and it's benefiting them well. He has 18 goals now. Very, very good. And all they needed to do was win, just to keep up. That's the most important thing. They also have the advantage in the Champions League, so they got the business done.
They didn't rest their players.
No. They are Real Madrid. The Champions League is their bona fide property.
I feel like this tie is a little more tricky than most people think.
I do fancy Atletico to put them out, though. I really think they'll put them out. Because you see,
they're defending the way they did this
Real
weekend,
Madrid
then it won't work.
are so good in the Champions League. But I'm one of those who believe that they also cannot be winning the Champions League every
year.
now and then.
True.
So because of that psychological thing, or the fact that it cannot be the same team over and over. Because in the last 3-4 years, how many times?
They won 22, I think 24.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think they've booted Atletico. They've suffered
At the hands of Real Madrid,
too
especially
many
in the
times. And
Champions League.
for the fact that the second leg is at Atletico, I don't think these guys will lie low on their home turf.
I think they'll make the game nasty. The first leg was a bit too gentleman.
It's
very unlike
it
the way
will become
Atletico like
nasty.
to play those
I
games.
think they'll
It
make
will become a
nasty.
bit nasty if Atletico takes the lead, like cancel out that early, then take the lead, then they'll make it a bit unplayable, and then they'll win it at the end of the day. But look, Real has just done what Atletico failed to do.
Just win.
At this stage, it's about winning because it's competition.
Yep. Doesn't
There are
matter
three
how you win the game.
Competitors all competing for the same.
Like I
league
said,
title.
they do have a game. Barca do have a game in hand.
Barca will play-
but their next league game is against Atletico.
Barca will play Atletico. Barca will play Real Madrid. Okay, so let's say both Real and Atletico, they all have to play Barca.
Yeah.
Barca play Atletico away, play Real Madrid at home. So with that game there, all you need to do is keep pace
Yeah.
and then let that game decide. The Atletico now, they are 1 point off Barca.
Yep.
Barca have a game in hand. If they're to win, it's 4. If Barca were to beat them, it's 7. They're out of the equation.
Very, very painful to swallow because they went on a 14 or 15 game unbeaten streak at a point just to throw it away when it mattered the most. Let's change directions a little. Let's go to Italy and let's get to Naples. Napoli were up against Fiorentina. They are also in a heated title race with Inter Milan Football Club. They won that game by 2-1. In fact, let's do back-to-back highlights. We'll do Napoli, Fiorentina, and then we will do Internazionale and Monza. Let's get the highlights. The Serie A title race is very well and alive. Let me take thoughts snap from Nubo and Coach. Coach, your thoughts on the games that we've just witnessed?
For me, I'm happy with Antonio Conte. This is his first season with Napoli.
Yeah.
Napoli, after winning the league, they were
They lost their way the following
I
season.
think they didn't even qualify for Champions
They
League.
didn't qualify. So he walked
They
in
had
there.
like 3 coaches before he came in.
Exactly. He came in there, he has to rebuild the team, and he's done tremendously well. The likes of McTominay and Lukaku and Phil Billing.
Yeah.
I
Players
think
that
Gilmour
other teams
is
don't
also
seem to
in
like.
there.
Billy Gilmore. I mean, he's
Billy
gotten
Gilmour,
them.
that's a big shot. He's been very good for them this
Very,
season.
very good for them. And for me, I like the fact that, but for him and his way of doing things, and the fact that he's gotten Napoli to believe, I think Inter would would have run away with this league. Because you see, the Italian league is one of the topmost league in the world.
True.
And you want it to be very, very competitive. So I'm happy. They are I think there's only 1 point separating they and Inter
60-61.
60-61. And then for
Atalanta
Inter,
is on 58.
there you go. They are also Gasperini and his men.
I think they
are
play
also
Inter
in the
next.
mix. And they are playing Inter next. So
That's
every game
Napoli
is a
will be
must
watching.
win.
Yeah.
So with keen eyes. They are, I mean, every game is a must-win game. And for Inter Milan, for them to have come back from a 2-0 down and then try and win it, I think it speaks volumes of the quality of.
They know they can't slip up.
For me, I think player for player, they're the best team in
They have the
in
best
Italy.
squad.
And coach-wise too, maybe you may want to argue that Antonio Conte on his day will rival Inzaghi. But everything said and done, I think Inter has the strongest team. But do I want Inter to win it? No. I would prefer Tutu Conte to win it.
Yourself?
I think Napoli's dip in form. Over the past 6 games, I think they lost about 4 or so. And that's what made Inter catch up, because a month ago, it looked like Napoli were running away with it. And now they've made it a title race. So I think for them, they would need to just go above themselves. They're not playing any other competition.
Yeah.
So it's 1 week a game, you go full throttle. Inter have the distraction of the Champions League and then the Coppa Italia, I think. But for you, it's just the league. So they have no business slipping up this time around.
No business slipping up. I think that will be our show for the night. Thank you very much, Coach. Thank you very much, Nubo. Thank you very much to all of you who made time to text in. Thanks to our good friend, Edi at TV, coming in from Lome. I saw a message that you sent in. I just was unable to read it, but a big shout out to you for contributing to the show every week. Thanks to everybody who made the show possible. Same time next week, Scorecard will be back on your screens.